My name is Angela Hardy. I'm a personal development specialist. I work mostly with people, teaching them how to love themselves. So self-esteem, self-confidence, self-acceptance, and self-love, that's what I do. Neuro-linguistic programming and the way that I use it is all about reprogramming the brain. So we're reprogramming the brain out of old habits and patterns and out of old cues that create certain responses and behaviors. And we're programming it into new patterns and habits and cues to create different responses, behaviors and patterns. So we're actually creating a physiological change in the way that the brain functions through creating this different effect, this different outcome. And we do it a lot of ways. There's a lot of different techniques, but they're all really working on changing the physiological response, the stress response of the brain in relation to a stimulus. With my work, what I do is I teach people about the process of how the mind works, and we get to the bottom of these belief systems and these experiences that lock into us this feeling of unlovability. And when we get out of that thinking, when we get out of the habit of that thinking, when we know where that thinking comes from, and when we understand that we're creating it all in our own minds anyway, it creates this amazing shift in experience. Because we no longer have to think that way. We no longer have to buy that thinking. We don't have to believe it. And so we start to have this amazing freedom of mind. And with this amazing freedom of mind comes this amazing freedom of experience. So Nikki is going to come and see me today. She does some work with groups. She does coaching type work. She teaches people all about life skills and how to get along in the world, people who haven't really had that experience. But she has this thing, this throwback from some experiences, that when she speaks in front of a group, she gets very anxious, she gets very uncomfortable, and she finds that she can't just be in the flow of the zone of doing that work.
I came to see Angela today because I wanted to work on being more confident when I do workshops. I find I'm really good at one-on-one and I feel at ease and confident, but when it comes to workshops, then I really need to, I really want to feel more confident in approaching the workshops and taking people.
We're going to work on that with her. We're going to work on getting rid of that old cue that's taking her into this freaked out state because now there's a bunch of people in front watching me. And we're going to take her hopefully to this point where she feels completely calm and comfortable and able to connect with herself and be fully engaged in her. And what is it about groups that you think might be causing this for you? What is the feeling or the sensation or the thinking that's going on that might be creating this for you?
I feel there's a sense of, I become too aware of myself. I feel there might be judgment, fear of disappointing. It's just like I lose a sense of self.
So if you were to think about where this might have come from, do you have an idea where this anxiety over judgment, over being seen by this group, where does this come from?
If I think back, it comes back when I was on holiday. We had a games evening, and the last question was, who's the cricket captain of South Africa? And I think in my childhood state, I got the answer wrong. And everyone was like, oh, disappointment, how could you not know that? So I think I locked into that fear. So as I see those eyes on me, I feel the mistakes coming.
So after listening to Nikki's story, timeline techniques seemed to be the obvious choice, because if you were hearing what Nikki said, it was a specific incidents that taught her to be anxious in front of a group. So we wanted to take her back to the very first of those experiences in order to have this relearning about what that experience actually meant to her. So we're going to do a timeline technique for you. What I want you to do now, just for a moment, is imagine that you're standing in front of a crowd delivering something. And tell me, when you imagine that, what it feels like in your body. Where do you feel it? What does it feel like? Give me a reading on that. Let me explain a little bit about how timeline works so that you can get an idea of what's going to happen with you. We're really working with the unconscious body when we're working in timeline, the unconscious mind, the feeling in the body, what comes up for you. So we're going to let your conscious mind go off and play, and we're going to work just with the unconscious. And that means that we need to just have a moment of trusting what comes up, of letting whatever pops into your head be the thing that we're looking for. It's not a question of judging it or is it right, is it wrong. Just let it flow, let it come up for you. And that's what we're going to work with. So you're okay with that? All right. In that case, let's just settle down, because we want to get you relaxed and nice and easy in order to go into this process. You can do it with your eyes open, you can do it with your eyes closed, it's completely up to you, but just take a nice slow deep breath for me. Timeline technique is an amazingly powerful and quite simple technique to use. And what it is that we have various emotions that we display, that we have inside of ourselves that come up when we're cued to them. Fear and anxiety and anger, and there's various emotions that just pop up into our lives. So with timeline, what we do is we go back to the very first occasion that we learned to experience anger or fear or fear of failure or judgment or whatever the case may be. And what we want to do is we want to reprogram the understanding of that experience. So now we're going to ask you to return to a time that is the origins of this feeling of being anxious about being watched, feeling stiff, being hypersensitive about yourself, fearing judgment. If we were to drift back over your timeline and we were to stop at this point, that was the origins, the very beginning, the thing that taught you this, would it be before, during, or after your birth? After. So when we were 2, we had this experience, and this experience made us think that this is how the world works. And it brought back this emotional response to us. And then we kept looking and we kept looking and we kept solidifying this emotional response as a result of this kind of cue. And now that we're in our whatevers, we just have to have the merest hint of that thing happen, or any of the experiences happen, and bam, ooh, off we go into this cue. So we jump in headlong, we feel the feeling, we don't even know what happened to us, it's not a logical process, but we boom into that emotion again, which stops us performing at our best, it stops us from loving ourselves, it makes us feel unworthy and uncomfortable and judged and unhappy. So we ask it to let go at that point, right at the beginning, and then all the way along our life until this moment. And the most miraculous thing happens when we look at that experience again, when we get those cues again, our brain has a different option. It doesn't have to jump back into that bad emotion, it now has the possibility of jumping into the positive intention, the positive emotion, the positive outcome and learning. Just letting your unconscious mind answer whatever the positive learning is that you need in order to completely let go of this now and forever.
What comes up is it wasn't your fault.
Mm-hmm. I believe the session that we had with Nikki was pretty successful today. Before we started, Nikki had a very strong emotional response to the image of herself on stage or in front of a group. And when we finished, she had a completely neutral experience of that. She felt nothing in her body, she felt no anxiety, she felt connected and peaceful and calm with herself, which is the outcome that she said she was looking for.
I think the biggest thing that stood out for me was as a child, what I needed at the time. So what I needed as a support system, what I needed to tell myself, which I actually believed was reality. So I really got fearful, I got judgment, and what I realized, it wasn't actually real. But as a childhood, in my mind, I felt that was real, and I've been living out that reality in my group sessions. So that was the biggest thing that I took away from it.
So what I really want you to know about NLP is that we always think that change is really hard. There's this misunderstanding that change is hard, it takes a lot of work, it takes years and years, you've got to break the habit, you've got to break the pattern, you constantly have to be on it. But the truth is that we can change something in a New York second. And that's really, really exciting news, because it doesn't have to be this painful, hard process. We can have fun, we can have a laugh, and we can make a shift really, really quickly. And the results that I've had in my own life, and certainly with my clients with NLP, have been really quite spectacular and miraculous. And so it's a really exciting process, but more than that, it's not so hard. It doesn't have to be hard. So it's one way that you just go and enjoy the process of change.